It was the casting of Prince George alongside Blackadder and Baldrick that brought new life to the show. The role went to an actor who since quickened the pulse of America.
It's a trial, John, you've no idea.
Have you learned anything about medicine? Can you remember all the stuff?
For about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I can hold it in my head for about 20 minutes, and for about 20 minutes, I could probably do a coronary bypass operation. So if you catch me at the right hour, then by all means, have an aortic infarction at my feet, and I'll fix it. But if it's the wrong hour, you're a goner.
I have to say it's my favourite series, Hugh, that one, and it's because of you. And I remember saying to you on the set that one day you are going to be such a world-famous actor.
Stop it.
I told you.
Stop it. I bet you say that to all the actors in Blackadder, third series.
Hugh's always very self-deprecating about it, but that's the kind of bloke he is. He always says, oh, I just shouted a lot.
I'm a gay bachelor, Blackadder. I'm a roarer, a rogerer, a gorger, and a puker. I can't marry, I'm young, I'm firm-buttocked, I'm broke. Well, yes, I suppose so.
You used to get quite stressed when you were the Prince Regent.
I came pre-stressed.
Right.
There was no stress that was added. I mean, that's what I do. I don't know why. I wish I didn't. I wish I could sort of relax and enjoy things more, but I don't. I worry about them.
Just occasionally one can say, now, come on, Hugh, is the entire idea of your misery for us to spend the next 3 hours telling you how great you are? Because whether or not that was the idea, that is the end result.
Prince George is shy and just pretends to be bluff and crass and unbelievably thick and giddy. Whilst deep down he is a soft little marshmallowy, piglety type of creature.
But I do love the Prince Regent. I love his attempt to be better all the time. I think that's one of the things that's so likeable about him, is he's always trying to improve himself. And we know how doomed it is. I mean, that vacant, panicky look in his eye, it's bliss.
I terminated my uninterrupted categorization of the vocabulary of our post-Norman time.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds damn saucy, you lucky thing.
And Rowan said, that's the worst message I've ever read. And we all went, ugh. And it ended up, that's the worst message I've ever heard since...
Lord Nelson's famous signal at the Battle of the Nile. England knows Lady Hamilton is a virgin. Poke my eye out and cut off my arm if I'm wrong.
But I mean, people fought for their patch. You know, they didn't. Nobody just sort of towed the line and stood where they were told to stand and do what they were told to do. Everyone stood up for themselves and for their characters. Let's just say it was very free.
Yes.
And creative.
But Richard wouldn't have said that.
No. Just read it out. I think it was Richard's. Just read it out. They would literally.
We'd always said that more than anything, what we'd like to do would be to create a series that was very claustrophobic, where the 5 or 6 of us who were the performers were trapped in a space, and what better way to feel that notion of claustrophobia than in the trenches in the First World War.
Really peculiar and bold thing to try and make a comedy out of, but I think ultimately a very sympathetic and respectful one, even though the characters were absurd and moronic at times. It never sort of disrespected their courage or their sacrifice, I think.
Oh, I joined up straight away, sir. August the 4th, 1914. Oh, what a day that was. Myself and the rest of the fellows leapfrogging down to the Cambridge recruiting office and then playing tiddlywinks in the queue. We'd hammered Oxford's tiddlywinkers only the week before, and there we were, off to hammer the Boche.
And how are all the boys now?
Oh, well, Jocko and the Badger bought it at the first Ypres, unfortunately. Quite a shock, that.
This awful policy of what were called the Pals Brigades, because in 1914 people joined up together, whole gangs, the pub would all march to the recruiting station, a cricket team or the Tiddlywinks team, as we said in Blackadder. And they'd all go together and they'd all be put in the same, because the idea was they'll fight together, they'll fight for each other. And of course this industrial war didn't really have a lot of time for people to fight for each other, because people would be mown down in an instant.
Gosh, yes, I I suppose I'm the only one of the Trinity Tiddlers still alive. Lummy, there's a thought, and not a jolly one.
Young people playing old people is very funny. Because I was in my 20s and I was playing a general, it was somehow funnier than if I'd been the right age to be a general, which I now am.
And it had to be a 30-year-old playing a 60-year-old. If it had been a 6-year-old actor, it would have been different. And it might have been funny, but in a different way. It wouldn't have worked the way Melchett worked.
It's the authority of youth.
Slightly red cheeks I remember having, because he was constantly puffing and blowing and constantly I had in my head that he had piles, so that when I sat down, like that, all the time, this strange noises and bleats and bars and things. It's an extraordinary gift.